Opium, aka heroin, has been a key funding source of clandestine operations, especially European history. Over the past few hundred years, House Wettin, the medieval royal bloodline that secretly controls the world, has used opium and human trafficking to finance their brutal imperial endeavors. Their use of opium as a weapon of war goes back to the days of the pirates of the Caribbean, when there was an intense rivalry going between Britain and Spain for dominance of the Americas. In the 1500s, the original Queen Elizabeth was feeling left behind, so she authorized a practice called privateering, which essentially is a legal version of piracy where she would use private mercenaries to attack and plunder Spanish treasure ships carrying gold back from the Americas. It was a way for Queen Elizabeth to get a piece of the action without provoking a full-scale war with Spain, who was way bigger and badder than them at the time. During this period, British operatives pioneered many of the clandestine tactics and networks they ultimately used to become the preeminent world superpower they became in the 1800s. Tactics such as using opium, aka heroin, and human trafficking to fund pirate colonies throughout the Caribbean to keep the money flowing when there weren't Spanish ships to attack. The name MI6 comes from this time period. It's short for Marine Intelligence Unit 666, which at the time was a cheeky Satanism reference, clowning on the Spanish conquistadors' pretense of brutally colonizing America so they could bring the native peoples to God. The British had a mantra of pioneers take the arrows, settlers take the land. So they would often let other imperial powers go places first and bear the tremendous upfront costs of building colonial outposts before sending their spies and assassins to hijack them by force. Later on, after they defeated the Spanish Armada, the British reorganized their savage horde of pirates into the East India Company, which they then used as the primary vehicle of their ruthless imperialism for the next several hundred years. At its peak, the British East India Company had a private army of about 260,000 men, roughly twice the size of the British Army, and they dominated opium and slave trafficking worldwide. It served as the tip of the British military spear, directly ruling over India for over 100 years and eventually going to war with China for trying to outlaw their heroin dealing. Twice, as a matter of fact. The Chinese government still cites the opium wars to this day whenever they're called out for selling fentanyl to Mexican drug cartels. Heroin dealing is such a staple of British power that they use a poppy pin instead of a yellow ribbon to honor their dead soldiers. Poppies are the flower that heroin is derived from. The British royals claim that the poppy was adopted after World War I because it symbolized the flowers that grew in the fields after the battles took place. But it's really because they used heroin-financed anarchist assassins to incite a vast war, seize key territories in the Middle East, and consolidate vast power over Europe, Africa, and the rest of the world. Power they would use to set the stage for another major world war that would give them the opportunity to conquer back their ultimate prize, the United States of America.